Welcome gamers to this Legend of Zelda Link to the Past randomizer race between Lectonzi and Swagalicious. The Go Mode Podcast Mentor Tournament 2024 has been going on, and it is well underway. We're actually getting to the final sets of matches in all four brackets. This is actually going to be an unofficial game one of an unofficial third place series between Lectonzi and Swagalicious. Both Lectonzi and Swagalicious ended up making it to the semifinals of the Gold Sword bracket, that is the highest tier bracket in the Mentor Tournament. Lectonzi being eliminated by Rezus, their opponent in the semifinals, and Swagalicious being eliminated by Rooslugs. But these two runners decided that they did want to play a kind of unofficial pride match for third place, and this is going to be game one of that series. Our game mode today is going to be casual boots, so both of our runners are going to be doing the castle escape sequence. So there goes off Link's uncle, and since both of our runners are going to have access to the exact same equipment, no divergence yet in this scene, we're just going to be looking for clean dash lines and execution. And wow, interesting. Both runners already, I don't see that strat very often going through the bottom of those bushes. I usually see people dash through the bushes, but cool to see that both of these runners, I swear I have different streams going on, but yeah, definitely doing very similar strats here. Unfortunately, Swagalicious is taking a bonk, but that kind of thing happens. We'll see how these runners continue to shape up through these rooms. Definitely everyone in the Gold Sword bracket, and even in some of the other brackets, even in all of the brackets, they have definitely learned a lot, and some of these runners are definitely forces to be reckoned with. We'll see what kind of time both of these runners end up with at the end of the escape sequence. I think if you execute everything optimally with absolutely zero mistakes, then you're looking at maybe a 5-minute escape time, potentially even slightly lower if you're really optimal. But more reasonable for these runners would be something like maybe under sub 5:30, I think would be a good place for these runners to shoot for. But we'll see what happens. We already see a little bit of different strats in terms of different dash lines. Lectonzi is currently ahead by about half a screen, but of course, Swagalicious is following closely behind. Now this room can be a little bit tricky. Looks like, Lectonzi did fail to get that dash line, and the lead has switched here, or the lead has equaled out here, so now the runner's taking a different strat through that room. Some people use a spin, some people use slashes. Swagalicious, unfortunately, crossing swords with that guard a few times, but takes care of the room no problem. And we have the Cane of Birna in that chest. Not really going to be relevant for a while, but it is useful to have. And we'll see what approach these two runners want to take for the ball and chain guard. Optimal is going to be 8 slashes. But Lectonzi has to abort. After getting one too many hits, Swagalicious chooses a slightly safer strat, goes for 1 pot and 4 slashes. Both runners kind of getting bodied a little bit by those enemies, but managed to make it out. So I wonder if both of them kind of feel slightly behind after those mistakes, but in reality, they're exactly in the same place. So you never know what's happening on the other end, really, in Rando, which is part of what makes it exciting and also stressful to be racing against an opponent who you can't watch. Alright, so our runners are going to continue to dash through these rooms as fast as they can. Still neck and neck, actually. Both runners electing for that dash. Looks like Lectonzi got a slightly longer dash, but yeah, still very much even here. Swagalicious only has 1 heart, though. Yeah, I was wondering if they were going to pick up a safety heart from one of those pots. The enemies in the back, the sewers area of Hyrule Castle Escape are not really that dangerous, but the snake room can be a potential issue. and you really don't want to die in this escape sequence. It will really cost you way more time than it costs you to pick up that pot and just get an extra heart for safety. Okay, so we are in the, dark rooms section of Escape. And we're coming to some of these rooms that have setups for key dashes. Looks like Swagalicious actually opted to kill a bunch of those snakes. Wonder if they were hoping for some drops. Looks like Lectanzi unfortunately moved a little bit down after opening the chests and will not get that key dash. Swagalicious looks like they didn't go for the key dash altogether. Very nice door alignment by Lectanzi on that dash, and pretty nice by Swagalicious as well. Lectanzi setting up for the key dash against that lamp, but unfortunately misses the alignment with the door. Swagalicious just choosing to play it a little bit safer there. Let's see what the back of Escape has for us. It's like piece of heart, another piece of heart, and the flippers. Okay, flippers is a little bit interesting. So with Casual Boots, often I will talk about how, as the runners are going through Kakariko, something that might be on their minds is getting enough money to getting those 500 rupees to make Zora, the Zorba check open, because, often runners, okay, and it looks like both of our runners finishing in the sub 5:30 mark, around a 5:25-ish escape time. And both of our runners recognizing correctly that we don't need to open that chest in Sanctuary because it is the map. Looks like Lectanzi just wanted to check their menu just to be sure, because it would feel really silly if something important was there and you just thought it was the map even though it wasn't. Yeah, unfortunately, Lectanzi gonna give us this beeping sound for a while as they are down to 1 heart. Hopefully they don't have any more problems making it to Kakariko. But as I was saying earlier, so our runners are pretty healthy on bomb count. They both got 9 bombs on hand from those chests that they've opened. And both runners going to go ahead and do a Lumberjack Cave check, looks like. Ooh, and we have a fairies as one of the tree pull prizes. That is pretty rare. It's only a 1 in 63 chance, I believe. And looks like Lectanzi is also going to get that tier 2 fairy prize drop. And we got our first map check. That was a very fast map check, actually. I did not see that at all. So we'll see if Swagalicious, looks like they're not marking it on their, they are marking it on their trackers. Looks like Eastern Palace is a pendant dungeon, so not necessarily required, which may mean it's not as big of a deal to dip into Eastern Palace because it may not lead to a double dip. We see the lamp here in the vanilla mushroom spot. And Swagalicious just getting a little bit of a lead here into Kakariko. I think that's mostly off of just less mistakes, honestly, less being bullied by enemies or random bonks here and there. But of course, this is still at the very beginning of the siege, so anything can happen. Got a nice 20 rupee prize from the tier 1 tree pull. That's going to help out some extra money. And speaking of money, so as I was saying earlier, so one thing that does come up quite often in Casual Boots modes is, South Shore is one of the early check strings after Kakariko, generally. And from Ice Rod Cave, runners always have the option of doing a water walk to the Zora domain because, you always start with the boots in this game mode. And so, trying to farm up money for Zora can often be, a potential concern. But since we have those flippers, the calculus on that changes just a little bit because we can't actually water walk all the way to Zora because in order to get to that whirlpool, through that whirlpool, we will need to step onto shallow water, which will break the water walk state. So if you want to do a water walk from Ice Rod Cave, kind of the best way to spend it is to get to Hobo. And then if you want to, you can swim from Hobo to the Zora area. But another option is to just save and quit from Ice Rod Cave, and with the flippers, of course, you can just walk east of Link's house and get to Hobo that way whenever you want. So it's not really a big deal in terms of not having enough money for Zora, is what I'm trying to say. Looks like our runners have picked up both the Quake Medallion and the Fire Rod, so we already got 2 fire sources here in Kakariko, and Half Magic. That is a nice pickup. especially with that Fire Rod on hand, and also the Cane of Samaria. So we got both canes and both fire sources. Already filling out our equipment loadout pretty nicely here. I imagine both our runners are going to go ahead and make that. If I had to guess, I would assume both these runners are going to make that play to at least the dam after the Kakariko checks. And we'll see if they end up going, comboing dam with Agina, or whether they end up going from dam to Mini Moldrum Cave and Ice Rod Cave after that. I will say with this seed, since we already have both fire sources, if we get a book and a glove, that's a full clearable Desert Palace, and it looks like Desert Palace is one of our crystals today. So just having that fire source on hand does make that slightly more of a consideration, but that's still 2 items away, so not necessarily something that you would need to bank on. But if that is a slight consideration, that is a minor argument for skipping Agina potentially. Looks like Swagalicious going to end up making the right call for this seed, and blind getting the item here on Race Game, which happens to be a sword upgrade, so you're definitely not going to want to leave that behind. Also saves a little bit of time over Lectanzi by bonking into that wall instead of throwing a bomb, but not really a huge deal. And Lectanzi gonna lose a little bit of time again because they elected to scout the item on Race Game instead of checking it blind. Oftentimes the item on Race Game is not something you want to get, but sometimes it is. Then you end up losing time if you make this decision. So. And as expected, Swagalicious going to go ahead and give us this dam check. I imagine Lectanzi is going to do the same thing here. Or not. Alright, Lectanzi making the play over to the Eastern Palace area. So I wonder if this is either... actually just going over and doing Hobo straight away. Okay, interesting. And another sword upgrade in the Sunken Treasure check. So 3 swords already for our runners, and Swagalicious actually going to go ahead and check Agina. So not wanting to isolate that check and wanting to be a little bit more thorough. Looks like they are also going to check the item on Desert Ledge. This play by Lectanzi, I think, is really interesting. So we don't have any money for Zora, of course. Sitting at only 52 rupees. It's the glove, though. Lectanzi, how do you know? I mean, that's not really a huge pickup right now, as it doesn't, I guess it opens up Death Mountain. And Lectanzi just heading over to Eastern Palace area. Yeah, so that was really interesting to do as a one-off check. I would have expected, something more like Swagalicious' route, or heading to Mini Moldrum Cave, and that way you can potentially get some extra rupees, so that after checking Hobo, you can swim to the Zora, the Zora area using that whirlpool. But Lectanzi chose to just do Hobo as that one-off check, and it seems like so far, at least, that has paid off. We get the other rod here in Saha, so we kind of got the Turtle Rock care package here, both rods and Cane of Samaria, maybe even the medallion. But this is really interesting. Lectanzi kind of doing a lot of save and quits here, so elected to check the items in Saha's closet, and then didn't proceed to Eastern Palace, which is understandable. It's a pendant dungeon, so you not really want to, don't necessarily want to prioritize that. And Swagalicious is finding the hookshot in Mini Moldrum Cave. So with that hookshot and the glove that Lectanzi found on Hobo, and the hookshot, as well as the lamp that both our runners found in Kakariko, we actually have access to East Death Mountain. So I wonder if Swagalicious is going to... I don't know if they'll make the play to check Hobo from here. That's... Okay, it looks like they are going to set up for a water walk. I guess like I was saying earlier, this is going to be the most efficient use of a water walk. Going to Hobo, at least I assume they're going to Hobo if they're doing this and not trying to go to the Zora area, because again, you can't maintain your water walk state there. Right, and like Tanzi gonna farm some rupees. Interesting. They're a long ways from Zora money, so this is actually surprising to see as well. But Swagalish is going to go ahead and going to be finding their glove. Ooh, very narrowly avoids that bonk there. Nice optimal dash by Swagalicious. And with that glove, I imagine Swagalicious might... Ooh, they're actually continuing on. So they're wanting, even though they don't have the Zora money, they are going to continue on with these flipper checks, and they're going to check the 2 items on inside the Waterfall Cave, as well as potentially peek the item on Zora Ledge. So these checks are going to be a bit tougher for Tanzi to stomach because, you know, he's already done Hobo, so it would be a separate trip for Tanzi. But I imagine Swagalicious might end up skipping out on the, you know, Eastern Palace area because they have all of, you know, East Death Mountain open to them. And like Tanzi actually foregoing Mimic Cave altogether, just rushing the mountain. This is really interesting. I wonder if like Tanzi is just like intentionally, you know, going for trying to do something a little bit different, or maybe they, Yeah, I think without the flippers, I could understand this as a play to, you know, hopefully water walk from Ice Rod Cave to the Zora area with money. And that would kind of explain why like Tanzi maybe farmed some additional rupees, but of course we do have the flippers, so that's just not an option. But Swagalicious is going to follow up on that mushroom that I believe they found. It's not on their tracker, I believe, but I believe they found it. Where was it? In the last thing that they did. Oh my gosh, my mind is blanking. They just did Waterfall Cave. But I imagine Swagalicious is probably going to skip out on the eastern area, unless they're afraid that the hammer is in Saha's closet, because you don't want to have to be, you know, climbing the mountain and doing the hookshot path again, you know, if the hammer is your access to Tower of Hera and your progression's up there. Looking like they want to head up the mountain. This is definitely their densest play. And in the meantime, like Tanzi's starting at Sanctuary again. This is a Houlihan glitch, so they really want Zora money, it looks like. Yeah, which again is surprising to me because I feel like I guess it is true that even from Ice Rod Cave, if you don't water walk to Zora, like it is faster to swim from Ice Rod Cave to the Zora checks than to swim from Link's house. But like Tanzi definitely really wanting money for Zora. Unfortunately, they're still quite a bit short. I imagine they're probably hoping to get some additional money from the checks in Mini Wolmer Cave and Ice Rod Cave. But I'm not sure that's going to be enough, actually. Alright, so Swagalicious heading up the mountain, gonna go and check Spec Rock. Nice use of the hook speed sword climb there to climb up those stairs a lot faster. Nice usage of hook speed as well, just to move faster. And like Tanzi gonna find their hook shot. Probably not gonna be super thrilled about that, as you know, it means another saving quit to the mountain. Not the end of the world, of course, but you know, just means a little bit of efficiency that they left on the table. But imagine, you know, without that money, and Ice Rod Cave definitely wasn't a 300 rupee drop, so I have to imagine like Tanzi, they're gonna have to make a tough choice because they have kind of made a lot of plays hoping to get Zora money, but they don't have it, so if you're in their shoes, like, do you still go ahead and check, you know, Waterfall Fairy? Or do you just, you know, save all the flip checks for later? Or do you just farm this set of 20 rupees like a million times. I don't know. But meanwhile, Swagalicious is finding the bow over here in Paradox Cave. And the Moon Pearl. So we are one item away from our Dark World access. And the flute! Okay. Swagalicious is definitely finding all the goodies here. And Lectonzi continuing to farm for rupees here. I mean, I guess that at this point, they are very committed to this. So, yeah, I mean, if they spike something on Zora, it's gonna be huge. But then again, like the thing about this is that Swagalicious has that flute. So even if something is important, you know, at Zora, I guess it is true that Swagalicious already checked, you know, Waterfall Cave, so he's less incentivized to make a trip there. But you know, whenever he needs to go check Zora, he can just loot over to 8, and then it's a pretty short trip from there. With flippers on hand. Like Lectonzi finally having that Zora money, setting up a water walk here. I don't actually know if this is faster than just swimming if you're not already in Ice Rod Cave, but I guess I have not timed it out for sure. Swagalicious is actually going for that, living up to their name, going for the tricky hook speed out of Sanctuary. That's something that I usually don't go for, but it is slightly optimal if you go for that. And you can see Lectonzi had to give up their Waterwalk state because they do have the flippers on hand, unfortunately. And Swagalicious, of course, finished up with their checks on the mountain and gonna go activate their flute. Lectonzi gonna show us whatever item that they've been working so hard for this Zora check. So Swagalicious still needs to find their hammer or other glove upgrade. They've already checked Agina, so I imagine it's time to go to Saha and Eastern Palace, right, from here? And I imagine you check Saha first. Or maybe not. Swagalicious, I don't believe they checked Saha yet. So this is interesting that they're heading, unless I just missed it, I'm just misremembering. So it's a little bit interesting to me that they're heading into Eastern first. Granted, you know, maybe that bow is a sign that something is on Armos Knights, but it only locks one item in Eastern Palace. And looks like we don't have anything, yeah, we didn't have anything special on Zora, so unfortunately, Lectonzi losing a lot of time on that play. And yeah, Swagalicious hasn't been to Saha. I can confirm that now because they don't have the Ice Rod marked off on their tracker, and that was in Saha, Saha's closet, so... it won't matter in this seed, of course, because we already know there's no hammer or glove in Saha's closet. But yeah, it was a bit surprising to me that they decided to do it in this order. I do think that if you're going to do both of these checks, it might be more efficient to do it the way that Swagalicious is routing it. Yeah, that seems right. But, you know, I think if it was in my shoes, I might be wondering, like, as far as Swagalicious is concerned, there could still be a hammer or a glove in Saha's closet, and they could have just checked that first, and then just said no to dependent Eastern altogether, right, and stayed out of this, and just head straight to the Dark World, or they can start doing, you know, potentially Palace of Darkness, you know, Thief Town, Skullwoods, all that stuff. But Lectonzi going to be finding their flute over here in Paradox Cave, as well as their bow. And I imagine they're going to be following Swagalicious into Eastern Palace here. Worth noting that Lectonzi decided to save scum the mushroom, so they are hanging on to that mushroom. You know, both of our runners do have the Kingdom Samaria on hand, so that is going to allow Lectonzi to potentially do a fake powder glitch to check the item on Magic Bat later on in the seed. Whereas I don't think I saw Swagalicious do that hard reset on their side. And there is Lectonzi's Moon Pearl. Gonna chase down that last mini Moldorm. And execute this nice bomb jump across. Nice use of that little corner ledge to make setting up that bomb jump easier. Unfortunately, the Eastern Palace Vanilla Big Key on Swagalicious' side, just the map. So the last item is on Armos. It makes sense. Sometimes you'll hear people talk about the Eastern Palace 50-50 in terms of rushing Armos Knights first, if there's only one item left. But that is, of course, only if you know that you need to defeat Armos Knights because they're carrying a required crystal, which is not the case here. And it's definitely faster to check the Vanilla Big Key chest than it is to check the item on Armos Knights. Okay, Lictozy finishing their mountain checks, and Swagalicious making it to the Zelda Gamer room, as this room is called. Very nice, 2 arrow strat. And is going to use a sword spin to take out all of these Popos. Nice. See if they can get the quick kill, the 1 cycle on these 2 Igors. Very nice. And they're going to head into their Armos Knights fight as Lictozy goes to activate their flute. Okay, setting up for the quick kill here. Good start. Looks like they've got this. And a very nice quick kill by Swagalicious. Only 50 rupees behind Armos Knights, though. So that was not our answer. Our answer is this Pyramid Ledge? Is there anything left? I don't think there's anything left. Yeah, so I think it has to be... Oh no, we already have a Pearl. Yeah, so this has to be Aga, actually. I mean, Swagalicious is probably still hoping to find something here in Saha's Closet, but we already know there's just an Ice Rod here. So yeah, this is 100% a required Aga Seed for Dark World access. Not actually super surprising given the, all the equipment that our learners have. We have access to all of Pod except for Helmasaur. But we also can hookshot across the river to get to, Thievestown, Skullwoods, Village of Outcast, and eventually circle all the way to Hype Cave. Ooh, nice Cape Dash by Lictozy. So Swagalicious is going to go ahead and confirm that this is an Aga required seed. So when all is said and done, it looks like Swagalicious is basically going to end up on an entire Eastern Palace clear ahead of Lictozy. Just based on mostly a few, routing differences in terms of Lictozy chose to, do Hobo as a one-off, and then there was an extra save and quit from Saha, as opposed to Swagalicious managed to do that more efficiently by doing Saha and Eastern Palace in one go. But most of it was just Lictozy trying to really farm for those rupees. I guess Swagalicious still hasn't checked the item on Zora, so luckily for them, there's no hammer or glove there. But that is something that they are leaving behind. If I was in their shoes, I probably would commit to Aga here as well. The seed definitely looks like an Aga seed, and we still don't have money for Zora. So they would have to do a Houlihan glitch, which isn't terribly slow, but yeah, I can definitely see the argument for leaving behind Zora and just assuming that Aga is required here. But for Lictozy's side, they have already checked Zora, and so I think diving into Eastern Palace, because there are 3 items here that you can get for sure, this makes more sense. You don't skip this before Aga unless you're just feeling like you want to be able to read the seed and you have a great intuition, which I think some people might do, but definitely Lictozy is electing to play a little bit more conservatively than that in terms of making the call to do Aga. I do wonder if Lictozy maybe was collecting those rupees early on, because with those, let's see, with the lamp was in Kakariko, we already had a sword from the beginning of the game, and the second sword was on Race Game, right? So that was already logical, completable Aga. We didn't have our Moon Pearl until I guess we went up to Paradox Mountain, and I guess Lictozy was farming rupees before that, so maybe that's not the reasoning. I was just wondering if Lictozy was farming those additional rupees because they kind of wanted to check everything else before doing Aga, but I guess maybe that's not the case. Ooh, nice hook speed by Swagalicious. So you don't see it by... Not everyone knows this, but there's a little set of stairs that would kind of lead up to Zelda's... where Zelda's lying down. You can actually activate, hook speed on those if you have the hook shot, and that will save you a little bit of time. Alright, so I was just entering the Aga fight as Lictanzi goes into the Armos Knights fight. Let's see if they also manage to do this quick kill setup. Ooh, unfortunately, not getting the correct spacing there, I think, on the first Armos Knight. Looked like they were going for a little bit of a sword. Okay, actually manages to clean it up all the same. So really nice recovery by Lictanzi. Looks like they were going for a little bit of a, sword slash sword tink setup. To get the right spacing, but maybe their timing was just a little bit off. Got hit by the first Armos Knight, but managed to pick up the quick kill regardless. And Lictanzi now knows that they have to do Aga 100%. So again, they're basically one dungeon behind, although they have done that Zora check. It's probably going to be pretty low in terms of priorities for Swagalicious. Swagalicious, I think... So obviously you can't go directly to Hype Cave because we don't have Hammer. So our two choices basically are, or three choices are, do we just go to Palace of Darkness, which we know we can't full clear, and we can always get there pretty easily later on by doing the save and quit. Right, get our map check. Looks like Turtle Rock as well as Thieves Town were pendant dungeons. Our other option was to check Catfish, which looked like Swagalicious just decided to say no on, actually, and skip out on, and they just want to get to the good stuff. So skipping the slow check and just getting to their density in terms of Thieves Town and Village of Outcast, and eventually making it all the way to Hype Cave, I have to assume. We have a bottle here on Bumper Cave Ledge. That is our first bottle, so Swagalicious is going to go ahead and take the time to grab this. As will allow us to check whatever is on Sick Kid. So I wonder if Lictanzi is going to... we saw they kind of were erring on the side of being thorough with, spending all that time on the Zora money. Either that or they're just hoping to spike something good. But I wonder when they make it into the Dark World, are they going to kind of continue that thought pattern, and are they going to check Catfish, continue being thorough with their checks, or are they now going to feel like, okay, well, I spent a bunch of time on Zora and it didn't pay off, so I'm feeling really behind. Maybe I just want to skip ahead to and try to skip some other checks to make up some of that time. So we'll see what decision they end up making. In the meantime, Swagalicious looks like they are going to rush over to the back of Skullwoods, which makes perfect sense. It is a full clearable crystal dungeon. We're only on 6 hearts and a green mail, so it is not a trivial boss fight, but we do have that tempered sword and half magic on hand, as well as a cape, actually, which actually would probably be more useful than the fire rod in this fight. So I imagine you could just use the cape and get enough tempered sword slashes in to take down the fight with little problems. Okay, Lictanzi also making use of that hook speed, very nice. And Swagalicious probably going to set up for a Death Warp here after collecting this chest. And they are going to start again over here and head into the fight. Head into the path towards the fight with Mothula. Some pretty good optimization by Lictanzi, trying to hit Aghanim towards his next teleport location, or at least closer to the next expected average of teleport location. So you saw that Lictanzi actually hit one of the yellow balls from the bottom to send Aghanim upward, because of course Aghanim does, do lightning on a predictable interval, right? It does lightning every, what is it, like 4 or 5 balls. And so like Tanzi intentionally sent Aghanim upward so that the teleport distance would be a little bit less, just to save some extra frames. Okay, Swagalicious does, unfortunately tries to do a spin, which actually does 0 damage to Mothula. But they do have their cape on now, and Mothula cooperating, more or less cooperating, so it's going to take down that fight. Like Tanzi is going to go ahead and check Catfish, so continuing to be a little bit more thorough than Swagalicious, if you could call it that. Looks like our red crystals today are Ice Palace and Palace of Darkness. And Swagalicious is on the board with their first crystal at the 34-minute mark, give or take some change. And I believe Swagalicious still has 1 or 2 items left to account for in the front of Skullwoods. So we're probably going to see that next. And then Swagalicious is going to have to make a decision on how they want to handle Thieves Town. Now, it is, of course, a pendant dungeon, so not necessarily required, but oftentimes there can be, there's nothing stopping progression from being in there. One problem is that we don't have... Okay, like Tanzi choosing to save and quit, I actually know for sure that saving and quitting versus just walking to the hookshot spot is basically even, so it's up to preference. Although... Oh no, they save and quit to the light world, actually. Because they don't have the, they don't have the mirror. So this is actually slower for like Tanzi. I wonder if they thought they were going to start at the pyramid. Because, after you've beaten Aga, generally that is what happens. So unfortunately, like Tanzi gonna lose a little bit of time here. Definitely would have been faster to just walk from Catfish back over to this spot, but... yeah, so Swagalicious is going to have to make a decision on Thieves Town now. Finding the gold sword here in C-shaped house. So our runners definitely not hurting for offense. We've got half magic fire rod and a gold sword. So Thieves Town is a pendant dungeon, definitely not necessarily required. One issue is that we don't have the hammer, so if something is in the big chest, we will not be able to get it. But on the other hand, it is a green pendant dungeon, so we can fetch that green pendant. We're guaranteed to be able to defeat the boss of this dungeon. It might not actually be in logic. There are certain cases where blind can be logically locked by the hammer. But that green pendant, could be worthwhile to get and turn in. Going to be a little bit faster than normal since we do have that flute on hand, so we can flute to 5. Tanzi has got to be a little bit careful. They're only on 1 heart here. I believe Swagalicious so far has already seen 2 items in the front of Thieves Town. That's 3 actually. I think it's 2 red rupees and a piece of heart. So this has to be the big key. So there's only 1 item left here. Yeah, you definitely don't want to save and quit here. It's going to take a while to get back to where you are. Ooh, interesting. So they're actually deciding to continue on. So there's 1 more item in the dungeon, I believe, and as well as that green pendant. And it looks like Swagalicious is electing to, pick those up. It's like Tanzi took an intentional death. That's going to be slower, but I imagine they mostly wanted to do that for health purposes. And they're actually choosing to do route Skullwoods a little bit differently. They're doing it front to back, it looks like. Nice usage of the cape by Swagalicious on that side there. Yeah, generally, if you are doing Skullwoods as a required crystal dungeon and you know that you're going to be walking to Village of Outcast afterward, there is little downside in doing the back of Skullwoods first and, seeing if you get any items from there, and then doing the front afterwards can save you some time in terms of your, front of Skullwoods checks. But like Tanzi could, just want to do this in a different order. Maybe they're hoping for some specific items, like the mirror or something. Oftentimes runners will elect to do the front first if they are, for example, wanting some additional equipment for the Mothula fight, although I don't think that's the case for Lectonzi, so... Okay, Swagalicious gonna be heading into the basement of Thieves Town. I haven't been paying super close attention to the chests here. Oh, looks like the stun prize is small magic, so definitely a nice one. I haven't been paying super close attention to the chest, so I'm not sure if Swagalicious still has an item outstanding here. Okay, there is the small key, so... not necessarily going to be something in the big chest, but there could be. Okay, and Lectonzi electing to check Mothula first instead of the bridge chest, and that is because, of course, they've already done the front of Skullwoods. Okay, Swagalicious entering their fight with Blind. Should be no problems. They've even got their cape out, just in case something goes wrong. Okay, and so far so good with the scripted fight on Blind. Lectonzi dropping into their Mothula fight. Does a dash on Mothula. Pretty good fight, and just a compass on Blind. Again, I didn't see for sure, but I wonder if that means something is left behind in that big chest. And actually, that is not a green pendant. That is definitely a blue pendant. So it looks like Swagalicious is actually mismarking their tracker, I believe. Because that pendant definitely looked blue to me. Looks like Lectonzi actually, yeah, has it marked off as Turtle Rock is the green pendant. So I wonder if Swagalicious is going to notice that mistake? Because I imagine their tracker probably says, you know, by all accounts, they should be able to turn in, you know, a green pendant to Saha, but of course, they don't have one. So hopefully that's not going to cost them some time later on, but we'll see. And Swagalicious is actually going to get some extra money from this archery game. Not something you see a lot in this game mode, but that is going to give them enough money to check Zora later, so probably thinking ahead to the next time they're in the light world, and they can flute over. Interesting that they chose to do that before Dig Game, as, you know, in Dig Game you can fish out rupees, as you can see right here. Looks like they would have needed to play an archery game anyways, although looks like they're farming for additional rupees, so this could be maybe thinking ahead to both Zora and Palace of Darkness. Both of our runners actually really wanted to make sure that they're not caught off guard with, you know, caught in a situation where they need extra rupees and don't have access to them. Okay, Swagalicious just going to be continuing their big loop of the Dark World. We're going to see Stumpy and then Pipe Cave. Hopefully we'll have some goodies for us. If not, then I think Swagalicious pretty much has mostly just Catfish and Palace of Darkness left at this point, because they've already done Skullwoods, and they've already done Thieves Town, and they've already done Village of Outcasts. They haven't checked Zora, of course. So I wonder if that is going to be a little bit more on their mind, given that they were farming for rupees. But I imagine... I gotta imagine that Palace of Darkness is going to be the densest area. Looks like Lectonzi is going to say no on the rest of Thieves Town. We're taking a Death Warp here, exiting the dungeon, and there's the Mitts in Hype Cave. So we no longer have to rely on the Aghanim portal for our Dark World access. Swagalicious looks like they are wanting to be in the Light World. I imagine they're going to flute away, yeah. With the Mitts, we can go up the mountain and actually, yeah, that has a lot of density there. We can do Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny Cave, but it looks like Swagalicious... Oh yeah, that's right, we need to follow up on that bottle for Sick Kid. So we could go up the mountain here. We have Mirrorless Smith Chain, which is... We get another bottle. Alright, well this one's more useful because it has a red potion instead of a B. And Swanglish gonna check Mire Shed. Okay, I like this actually. Mire, it could also be full clearable here. And is the Medallion Quake? It is, so we have a full clearable Misery Mire. We did get both the Fire Rod and the Cane of Samaria in Sphere 1, I believe. And the lamp, so both are light sources. So of course we started with boots, and Quake was also in Blind's Hut. So I think everything we needed to get to Mire, besides the 2 gloves, was Sphere 1. So Swaglish is going to go ahead and try to full clear Mire here. Shouldn't be too bad given the equipment loadout. Of course, we're only on green mail, so you know Vitreous can hit hard, but we've got half magic, we've got the cape, we've got, you know, all the offense. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense, as the saying might go. Okay, Swaglicious looks like they're not going for the, you know, really fast Fire Rod strat here in Mire, in the second room of Mire, but gets a pretty nice cycle anyways. Like Tansi, taking a few seconds to think. Yeah, Mitts is always a big item to find, so definitely don't blame them for taking a few seconds to reevaluate their options. Let's see. So we're missing a hammer to be able to clear ice. I imagine like Tansi is gonna. Oh, so they're just gonna do Mire Straightaway. So electing to still put not to follow up immediately on that Sick Kid check, which actually makes more sense for them because if they have a mirror, they can do Sick Kid and Magic Bat and Old Smith Chain together, right? Because they still have Magic Bat outstanding with a fake powder glitch potentially. Yeah, it looks like both our runners are gonna be stopping by in Misery Mire here. And like Tansi has actually made up, you know, they were behind an entire dungeon, but you can see that they've managed to make up a significant bit of time, and that is basically because they, you know, Swagalicious chose to commit to full clearing all of Thieves Town. And I think there was only one item in the back, plus, you know, just a blue pendant. I have to imagine that. I wonder if Swagalicious committed to that thinking that it was the green pendant because, you know, they still have that marked on their tracker. So that would suck if, you know, that was, you know, part of the reasoning there, and it was actually just, you know, mismarking pendants on the tracker. But I suppose that is, you know, a risk that you take when you do your map checks, you know, ultra fast, you know, like Swagalicious is obviously capable of doing. So Swagalicious is going to give us kind of the vanilla full clear route of Misery Mire, so checking Cutscene Chest immediately after Compass Chest. This is kind of the most, the fastest way to make sure that you full clear, you know, every chest in the dungeon. But a lot of people will, you know, delay Cutscene Chest. Looks like we have the real powder in Misery Mire in the lobby chest here. Swagalicious is setting up for a rail clip here. Nice, gets it. Oh, unfortunately, kind of getting sandwiched between that Fire Snake and that Spark. But we have the real powder, so unfortunately, Lectansi's big powder glitch not really going to be super relevant here. Ooh, unfortunately, misses that one Fire Rod shot and is going to have to use the lamp. That is actually somewhat relevant here, as it is using the lamp usually will reset your Fire Rod splash value that is required to be used for the spooky glitch in the Basement of Fire. So Lectansi is not going to be able to perform that. And Lectansi choosing a different routing here than Swagalicious. I believe they skipped cutscene chest, and they are now heading to the boss. Okay, yeah. Actually not checking the right side at all. Oh yeah, that's alright. Both of the runners not checking it because there was already 2 items. No, wait. No, Lectansi still has an item. There's still an item left unaccounted for, so Lectansi just choosing to skip out on the right side chest, so that is map chest and the big chest. Interesting, actually. I say that's interesting because so the big chest is easy to get to if you know you need to just get back into the dungeon. But the map chest is pretty annoying to get back to. Because you have to hit the crystal switch again, so I wonder what's the reasoning here. I guess I also wasn't accounting for... No, it can't be a key logic thing, I don't think. Either way, Swaglicious gonna go ahead and take some dashes through the eyeballs. Gets the 0 cycle because, of course, we have Gold Sword, so that's gonna be pretty trivial. And finishes it off with a Gold Sword spin for style points. Nice. And there's the hammer on Vitreous. Okay, so this is definitely where the game wanted us to go. So that opens up... So we've got a full clearable Hera now. We've got... And there's nothing left on right side. So both our runners either guessing or correctly figuring. I wasn't keeping track of the exact items, but... Yeah, Lectansi not going to have to do the map chest or big chest either. But I believe Lectansi skipped cutscene chest, actually, so they're going to be able to make some time, make some additional time up there. Slowly, you know, gaining bits of time back. So you can see this is getting to be a little bit of a closer race here. And of course, you know, Lectansi does have some additional checks. You know, they've already done that Zora check, right? Which Swaglicious hasn't. That's the thing that I keep on referring to. And it probably isn't going to make a difference at this point, but you never know. If we're down to like last locating. What do we need here? We just need the mirror, actually. We'll have to see where that ends up. But yeah, making the play into Ice Palace makes perfect sense. So we do also have a bunch of Dark World Death Mountain checks and Tower of Hera open to us. That is going to be more density, but oh, and we also have Palace of Darkness. So I would say probably in terms of like checks per second, checks per minute, probably going up the mountain is probably going to be the best, but Ice Palace is a dungeon that you have to do at some point. You might as well just stick to full clearing your crystals. Ice Palace does get faster if you get to go mode it, but not a ton faster. You could say the same for Palace of Darkness. It really just depends on the key layout, honestly. Alright, Swaglicious is through, activates there, and they find the mirror in the first chest. Is that go mode for Swaglicious at the 52-minute mark? I want to say it is, right? We've just got to finish Ice Palace here. We can get into Desert Palace with that mirror, and we can do Tower of Hera since we have that hammer now, as well as mirror. And yeah, Pod is doable with a hammer now, as well as Swamp Palace, so we've got everything we need. Of course, Swaglicious did elect to open that chest because they still needed the big key, but Lectansi is going to follow them in here, so Lectansi gonna also be finding their mirror. And at this point, none of the overworld checks matter anymore, right? It's just going to be down to who can finish all these dungeons faster. So I wasn't really expecting the race to go this way, but looks like we're down to just an execution fest. Swaglicious is gonna have to go pick up this key here from this room. Yeah, this is one of those cases where you kind of wished in hindsight that you would have taken the time to press the crystal switch, but of course, you know, neither of our runners had an idea that the mirror would literally be here and they'd be in go mode, trying to go mode this dungeon. Swaglicious only at 1 heart. Has to be a little bit careful. They don't have that, you know, red potion, I don't think. Okay, but uses powder on that fairy, nice. And of course magic is not going to be concerned because they have half magic, so that's all the better for them. Bouncy finding their big key. The question is, can Lactanzi make up this deficit? There's no... The only item difference... Yeah, there's no real item differences here either. Besides, I think Swagalicious has a red potion from Sick Kid. Okay, like Swagalicious did get tagged by Cold Stare. Lactanzi choosing to open that chest, which is actually to save them a little bit of time, as that is the small key that they needed. And I think that's a little bit faster than getting the small key that Swagalicious did, so Lactanzi making up a little bit of time, unfortunately gets a bonk on that door. Is not going to have to powder that anti-fairy, so saving a few additional seconds there. But yeah, at this point you just do, I guess you do Tower Para last, right? Because that's right next to Ganon's Tower. You just do Desert and Desert Pod and Desert Palace of Darkness and Swamp Palace in whatever order you choose. Okay, Lactanzi's setting up for a quick kill here. Oh, unfortunately the pups separate. Oh, and Lactanzi needs to be really careful. No, there's a death! And I don't think they have a fairy. Ooh, that is rough. Especially at this stage in the game. I think if we weren't already in go mode, I think Lactanzi would probably be feeling not as stressed out about this, but I think knowing that our go mode is here, and everything, like, we didn't really have to go out of our way to get it, that feels really bad. Lactanzi also made the, took the extra time to grab a potion from the potion shop, and just probably, in the heat of the moment, wasn't able to drink it in time. So that's a real bummer. Swagalicious is already into the back of Desert Palace after finding their big key. This is going to be tough to make up, for sure, at this point. That may have actually sealed it. Okay, but Swagalicious gonna be making their way through the back of Desert Palace. Lactanzi not gonna need to open anything because they've already opened all the key doors here. Nice key dash by Swagalicious. And Lactanzi going to need to... Oh, yeah, takes a hit from that Freezer, unfortunately. Yeah, gonna need to drink that potion now. Okay, Swagalicious is setting up for some Fire Rod shots on these Landmos. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know if he could have one-cycled that, given the leap direction of that second Landmo. Unfortunately, gets a 3-cycle. But not too bad. Alright, here's Lactanzi's chance for revenge on Cold Stare. Avoids the first icicle, gets a nice spin, and that's kind of what they were looking for the first time around. Just really unfortunate that it didn't work out for their first fight. Okay, Swagalicious off to their next dungeon. We're back to Lactanzi being basically a full dungeon ahead, a full dungeon behind. Not a full dungeon, I guess a go mode dungeon behind. And Swagalicious heading to Swamp now. Lactanzi choosing to do Swamp first. I think that actually makes sense. The only item that really matters here for you is Silvers, which can make the Landmo fight a little bit more consistent. So I like the choice of Swamp before Desert, although in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter that much. But silver arrows are not going to help you whatsoever in in Swamp Palace. Although I guess actually it will make second phase of Argus slightly faster, so I guess there's arguments both ways. You can use silver arrows on Helmasaur in Palace of Darkness as well, so really it's just your preference. Like Tansi grabbing a fairy there, not wanting to risk taking another death here. And both of our runners just going to go mode this dungeon. We'll see if either or both of them elect to check, some of the chests that are directly in their path, hoping for some silver arrows. It does feel like there are quite a few locations that, quite a number of locations that our silver arrows can be at today, so I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see any chests opened. But it does only cost, 1 or 2 seconds per chest, so not that big of a deal. Get a Mario Diver Down glitch here. And nice lifting the pot to cancel the spin animation. Looks like Swagalicious is going to go ahead and open those 2 chests. It's pretty common to do. They're literally in the same room, you just have to walk a few steps to open them. And that waterfall room chest is also fairly quick, although you do have to stop your dash short in order to get that one. We'll see if Lectansi also likes to check these chests. No, they're trying to shave off a few seconds here and there, so they're saying no to those, and I imagine they're just going to dash through this room too, so I do think that Lectansi is going to need something bad to happen on Swagalicious' side, though, in order to make this close. I think even GT routing is not quite enough unless Swagalicious, goes full left and Lectansi just finds the key in Hope Room. I don't know if Lectansi is the kind of person to try and make a big gamble or play when they are feeling behind. But there are some runners who will, in this kind of situation be like, okay, I am pretty sure I'm way behind, and my only hope of winning is to check Tower Room first and just hope that the Ganis Tower Big Key, hits that less than 5% chance to be there. I'm sure there have been races that have been won and lost to that. But of course, very low percentage chance that it'll work out, so. Okay, Lectansi going to Desert Palace as Swagalicious heads over to Palace of Darkness. Lectansi also just basically needs to... I was going to say they kind of need to execute everything perfectly here, but they got caught in their dash there because they weren't far enough right, and that antlion enemy kind of stopped their dash there. They're definitely just small mistakes, but Lectansi needs every single possible second at this point. Okay, Swagalicious finding their first small key in Shooter Room. Yep, Lectansi already preparing to mirror out there. Good, good. And of course, in Palace of Darkness, we kind of have to full clear the first part of the dungeon because we have no idea where the big key can be, and it can kind of be anywhere. We don't really have any knowledge when we first enter the dungeon, so we basically have to clear it the same way that we would if we were full clearing. Like Tanzi stopping for that heart, which I think they need to really prioritize just hitting off every single possible frame at this point. Like I know they definitely don't want a repeat of, you know, having another death. Maybe, you know, there's still a chance for this race to come down to who can die less, you know. I don't think it will. Especially, I think Ganon should be no problem, given that we have Gold Sword and Half Magic, and the Cape. But, you know, GT could be an issue, and, you know, we could see Swagalicious take a death in GT, an untimely death in GT. You know, they don't have any fairies, right? Even though they have that red potion. So it could happen. But I feel for Lectanzi, especially knowing that Lectanzi already has a fairy in a bottle, I think they should just prioritize speed over safety right now. Okay, Swagalicious didn't have to... Look like we don't have to go to the back of Palace of Darkness at all. And Lectanzi is going to be following suit, following into Palace of Darkness. Yeah, it's a rough spot for Lectanzi to be in, because at this point you know that there's not really any... Oh no, get out of their dash. At this point you know there's not any real routing decisions that you can make to really catch you up, so... And I have to imagine Lectanzi also doesn't feel good about all the time that they sunk into that Zora check early on, right? You know, if they hadn't done all that, then I imagine this would be feeling closer. Oh, and they don't have money to get into pod! That Zora check is really hurting them. Oh, those 500 rupees would have been really nice right now. So Swagalicious, of course, made extra sure that they had that money because they, you know, played the archery game. Ooh. That's rough. And it's not like they had, you know, they already did, they already did Swamp Palace and Desert Palace, so it's not like they have any other crystal dungeons to do besides Hera, and you definitely want to do Palace of Darkness before Hera. I wonder if they should have opened those two chests, those couple chests in Swamp Palace, actually. I don't think any of them were rupees, but that's the sort of thing that can bail you out of a situation like this. Of course, I think most likely what just happened was Lectanzi just forgot about pod money. It's probably, like, I would have forgotten as well in Lectanzi's shoes. Like, you're probably thinking more about, like, oh gosh, I died on Cold Stare, how do I come back in this race? I gotta do all these dungeons as fast as I can. So in that situation, I probably 100% also forget that I don't have pod money. Especially because it's so rare to not have money for things when you're already in go mode. But Swagalicious is going to make their way to... Ooh, attempted to do an item dash there to get the fairy, but... Okay, going to make their way to the Turtle Rock portal. This is actually a slightly... It's very slightly slower, actually, if you haven't already opened this portal, since we don't need to do TR, and we haven't already opened this portal. It's also just safer to do the other portal, since you don't have to worry about the dead rocks, but it's not actually that much of a difference, so... Of course, we want to be in the Dark World because even though our first stop is going to be Tower of Hera, our next stop is going to be Ganon's Tower, so we want our mirror portal to be right there. Okay, Swagalicious into Tower of Hera. And yeah, it doesn't bother checking any of the chests because they're in go mode. Unfortunately, kind of messes up on that Hera pod setup. Bombs the door for good measure. Don't know what that door ever did to him, but... And... misses that fairy twice. That's funny. But yeah, just Go Mode Hera is quite fast as it turns out when you have the hook shot. And like Tanti has their big key, I believe. Just needs to make it to Helmasaur. And Swagalicious takes down Molorm with just 2 swipes of that Gold Sword. So they are going to be entering into Ganon's Tower momentarily. Oh, like Tanti just gets that perfect timing on that dash into that door. That was beautiful. And Swagalicious with another sword hook climb into GT. Very nice. And let's see what route they take in GT. They're starting with Hope Broom, and they've already got their mirror out, so this might be a Hope left. Okay. No, okay, so they're just waiting to see if they got a key or not. So this is a rushing to Compass Room, I assume. Of course, each different routing order of checking the chests in Ganon's Tower's basement has advantages and disadvantages. Like Tansi gonna be entering their Helmasaur fight. Swagalicious finds the big key in the Compass Room. He's going to check these additional chests for silvers, as well as they do need to pick up a small key from here. So good on them for remembering that. But they're now good to climb, and they picked the best... They picked the best possible Ganon's Tower basement route for this big key location. So unfortunately, Lectansi not going to be able to, even if they... No matter what they choose, they're not going to be able to gain any time on that. So it looks like this is Swagalicious' race to lose, essentially. And we'll see how these runners still, execute through Ganon's Tower here. Swagalicious having a little bit of trouble with Mimics too. But closes it out. They do only have 5 hearts, getting knocked around by those Beamos. I did mention that this could be Ganon's Tower. The climb itself could actually end up being more dangerous or more threatening than Ganon himself. As with Ganon, we kind of have a consistent strat that we can use. Just, put on the cape, get your 6 slashes in. But, Swagalicious already on 2.5 hearts here, and entering the gauntlet of enemies. They're still safe for now, but I imagine if they take, 1 or 2 hits, there are other Beamos enemies in this gauntlet, like this one right here. How did they not get hit by that? Okay, like Tansi also taking the Turtle Rock portal. And Swagalicious down to 1.5 hearts. Are they gonna be okay through the rest of this climb? I imagine they're probably gonna stop to powder the Anti-Fairy before Lambo 2. If they can make it there, only on half a heart. Yeah, definitely want to drink your potion there. So I imagine they will not be stopping to powder that Anti-Fairy in the next room. Ooh, very nice usage of the Ice Physic there. So if you time your... Oh, they are gonna... Okay, they're gonna grab this fairy in their bottle. Okay. It's a nice commitment towards safety. We see a Samaria set up for Lambo 2. Unfortunately, it doesn't get the double hit there. And gonna have to settle for a 3 cycle. Oh no, and Lectansi soft blocks! You can't use the mirror, you have to save and quit there. That's really bad. Yeah, you have to save and quit. Oh, that can happen if you Hera pot and tap up without tapping left beforehand, or you don't another way to do it is to, diagonal upright immediately, but nothing going right for Lectanzi, unfortunately. That really sucks. Normally that wouldn't be a terrible mistake because you could just mirror, back to Hera, but of course we need to, go back to the Eternal Rock portal again. So that's really painful. Swagalicious taking the extra full magic refill here. Unfortunately, he gets tagged by one of the lasers. But we do know they have that backup fairy in their bottle, so probably not feeling too stressed. They do need a key here in this room. Looks like they're checking for silvers. And taking some extra safety with those fairies there in this room as well. If I'm in Swagalicious' shoes, I have to imagine you're not feeling too bad about this seed, but there is the fact that Swagalicious committed to the back of Thieves Town, and that was not required, right? For this seed, if you just played it kind of straight and did only what you need to, what was directly obviously on the path, the only thing that really, unfortunately gets bounced around by those bumpers. Okay, it makes it through. The only thing that can really trip you up is, whether you decide to commit to Aga, before doing something like Zora, which, as we saw, Lectanzi had to spend a lot of time farming money for. But everything else was kind of on the path, right? We went to Skullwoods, we went to Thieves Town, and I think the normal thing to do there in a pendant Thieves Town with only one item in the back is to just say no to the back. And Swagalicious did not do that, potentially due to a mismarked, dungeon prize on their tracker. So that is, a couple minutes potentially lost to, a theoretical opponent on Swagalicious' side. But Swagalicious is going to be dropping into their Ganon fight as Lectanzi heads into GT. And besides the fact that we don't have silver arrows, I imagine this should be pretty trivial. It's just going to be 6 slashes for phases 1 to phase 2. Okay, that's already phase 1 done with, and looks like Swagalicious is going to use some dash strats. Might seem a little bit dangerous, but a lot of runners actually find that it's easier to dodge the fire bats from inside the circle. Although it looks like we're just using the cape. No reason not to, as we have plenty of magic here. And unfortunately, Lectanzi, I do believe this is actually the normal route for them. It's actually kind of an ironic twist of fate. I believe that their previous race that they lost, they chose to go full right to do something different, and it didn't work out for them. It looks like they were kind of just off by one race in terms of when they should have done it, because if they'd done it in this race, it would have worked out, but just a little bit unfortunate. Looks like the silver arrows were hanging out somewhere in the light world, which could be a number of places, so no idea where that is. And Swagalicious is onto the silverless portion of this fight. Looks like they are setting up for triples here. This looks very nice for them. Looks very practiced. Some clean movement. Nice usage of the fire rod. Not sure if they're going to be able to get this one yet. It looks a bit far, so they just gave up on it. And they're gonna wait a cycle here before the lighting. Okay, timing was a bit off, so I don't know if they're gonna have time to do a triple here either. Yeah, imagine they're gonna have to relight the torch. Okay, they really want these triples. Got that one, nice. Ooh, get tagged by the fire bat. Oh, that was really close. And takes Ganon down. Very nice job by Swagalicious with for a really fast time, actually. I mean, it was nice given this seed. The only slow part was we had to do, Aga for our Dark World access, but aside from that, everything fell into place pretty naturally. It's like Lectansi, as far as I can see, is going to be continuing to finish out this run, so we'll see them finish the rest of Ganon's Tower, and Swagalicious is going to be the victor of Game 1 in this Best of 3 series. I believe the other 2 game modes that will be remaining are Open and Open Old Dungeons. We'll see how these 2 decide to continue their series, but in the meantime, Lectansi, with a nice setup for this Ice Armor's fight, I think they're going to get the quick kill here. Oh no! They had it! Just needed to shoot that last arrow a little bit faster. They definitely had that. Cleans it up okay, and unfortunately going to learn that their big key is on the right side of the basement. Ooh, unfortunately moving out of the doorway and not getting that key dash there. Let's see how they handle this room, though. Another bonk. Okay, make it through the door on time. Oh no, they were not able to make it through the door in time, so it needs to reset this room. Yeah, that first bonk kind of threw them off. I will say, if you normally go take a full left or a hope left route, that can be a tricky room, as oftentimes in a lot of seeds you won't actually get to practice it. So these rooms on the right side, I personally always do hope left route, and so I find myself needing a little bit of deep resting on these right side rooms sometimes. Right, like Tansi, gonna need to open these chests and gonna need to grab that small key. Okay, so let's see if they can make it through this Ganon's Tower climb. All right. I do believe they're starting off with a little bit lower of a life total than the Swagalicious. So let's see how they do here. Yeah, they're going to take 2 hearts of damage here. They do have a fairy in a bottle, so they're probably feeling pretty good about that. Nice mix 1. That was pretty much what you want. Has to pick up those that arrow refill because they only had 2 arrows there. Okay, nice. Yeah, it's difficult to plan for this room when you need to pick up the arrow refill because your positioning is kind of just all off. Unfortunately, missing the key dash there too. Okay, nice execution on that spike room. And I assume we're going to see usage of the cape dash here through the cannonballs. Ooh, surprising. I didn't actually expect this, to take this pit stop here to grab the extra health refill. The bottom one, yeah, the bottom one's full magic. Oh no, they didn't even grab it. Oh, that's sad. Okay, let's see how they do through this gauntlet. They are totally healthy. Ooh, nice dash. Okay, so far so good. Oh, and unfortunately gets the bad RNG in that room. If that red Zazak enemy decides to just keep walking, then your dash will not hit him. Okay, into land mode 2. Oh, gets an unfortunate RNG though. First one hops to the left, and there's kind of no way you can one-cycle that. So it has to settle for a 2-cycle. A very nice 2-cycle, though. Okay, nice kill on the Wizrobes. Gets caught a little bit on the platform edges there, but doesn't fall. Nice job on Wizrobes too. And here we have the first of the 2 Torches room. These are pretty good rooms to evaluate, how a runner is moving. Some runners will actually get hit by that. For this strat, they will get hit on the top side by that fire bar, but Lectonzi's movement was clean enough that they were able to beat the fire bar, so nice job. Yep, I'm skipping the full magic refill there because they have enough magic with half magic on hand. And they're going to need the key here. We'll see if they decide to check for silver arrows or if they just decide to be happy with the key. Looks like they are not bothering to check those 2 chests. And just going to grab the full magic refill here, I imagine. Moldorm 2 is going to need just 2 hits. Oh, that's really unfortunate. Usually if you just dash, across, the width of the platform, you end up tagging Moldorm kind of just like that, but it's not quite working out for Lectonzi that time. Okay, Swagalicious had a little bit of trouble with this room, but Lectonzi gets it first try. Very nice. And we're on to our fight with Aghanim 2, the refight of the Evil Wizard. Ooh, unfortunate, misses all 3 shots there. See if they can do better on this one. Ah, only a single. Okay. Getting a little thrown off here. I wonder if Lectonzi is feeling all together. Oh, that was so close. I thought they had that one. Nice. Oh, but finishes it off real strong with a nice triple there. That one looked really clean. And as with Swagalicious, this should be a pretty straightforward Ganon fight here. We'll look out for how Lectonzi handles Phase 4, as that is going to be where the real, execution challenge is. Alright, so just 6 hits for Phases 1 and 2. And we do have access to that magic cape if we need to. Yep, and using that cape just for some extra safety. And some extra slashes just for good measure. Ooh. Yeah, I would have kept the cape on through those fire bats. You've got plenty of magic to spare. But in theory, you shouldn't get hit in, Phase 4 if you're doing everything right. And they do have a fairy in backup reserve as well, so probably not going to be an issue. We did see Swagalicious go for some nice triple setups, and by triples I mean, after getting the torch glitch, we're gonna try and get... Oh my god! Lectonzi, you're scaring me! I'm really glad that worked out, though. Teetering on the edge while trying to make it to the torch in time to do the torch glitch. Okay, heart racing, but we've got this under control. Okay, nice. Oh, unfortunately, that was so close, Lectonzi, you're killing me. You've got this, you've got this. Okay, this should be a good setup for a triple here. Yep, gets that one. This one should be okay too. Oh, moves a little bit too close. Gets that third hit anyways, though. Nice. Oh, but releases that spin a little bit too early. When you see Ganon freeze blue, that's kind of what happened. And manages to finish the fight. So that is going to be Lectanzi finishing about with a time of 1:29 and looks like 20 seconds or so. So GG's to both these runners. Unfortunately, things not really working out for Lectanzi in terms of the routing decisions and some unfortunate death over there against Cold Stare, as well as not having the money for Palace of Darkness. But this is, as I mentioned, game one of the best of three series between these two, so we'll see what ends up happening in the rest of this series. If you did enjoy watching this race, I highly recommend that you go and give both of these runners a follow on their Twitch channels. I will have links to their Twitch channels in the description of this video. And yeah, I am looking forward to seeing these two play again and seeing what happens. Seemed like Lectanzi just didn't really have that great luck, not only on, in terms of the routing stuff, but I feel like there were a number of other things, like getting randomly bopped by Moldorm, and I feel like there was one or two other things that happened with just like random enemies not really behaving that well. So I wonder if this is sort of the game to get all the bad luck out of the way for Lectanzi, and hopefully we'll see them bring it back in game two, and I'd love to see a 3-game series, but no one knows what'll happen. We'll see what happens the next time that we see these two race. That is going to do it for this rebroadcast. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, my name is DDR Kirby, and I will note that a lot of these bracket matches, now that we're into the semifinals and final matches, are getting restreamed. So if you've been watching these videos on my YouTube channel and you're wondering why you haven't seen, these finals matches and semifinals matches, that is because they are actually being restreamed live with live commentary, and you can find those restreams if you tune in to the Go Mode Podcast Twitch channel as well as the Go Mode Podcast Discord. Usually they'll be announced in one of those two places, and you can go check out these races as they happen and stay tuned. I know we've got some very exciting matches happening. About to happen. I think we've got the Gold Sword finals already slated to go, and it looks like the semifinals are still happening. Some of the semifinals matches in the other brackets have also concluded, so I think Silver Luca in the Master Sword bracket is confirmed for the finals match, as well as Amphalos in the Tempered Sword bracket. But yeah, that is all proceeding and underway, so definitely check that out if you're interested. But otherwise, this is going to do it for this video. Hope you have a good rest of your day or evening or night, wherever you may be, and thanks for watching.